Welcome to State of Affairs. I'm Steve Adubato. You're normally used to looking at us and most of the other folks in the media coming to you from their quote-unquote regular studios. We're coming to you from a terrific studio, first-class operation here, East Main Media Studios in Little Falls, New Jersey. Our team here separated appropriately. We're very far apart from each other, but a great team putting this program together. We're trying to look at the longer-term implications of the coronavirus situation. We're taping on the 20th of March. I apologize. I hope the 20th of May looks an awful lot better. We are pleased to kick off this program with Dr. Matt Hale, who is Associate Professor in the Department of Political Science and Public Affairs at Seton Hall University. Dr. Hale, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing all right. Hunkering down in place.
Yeah, well, Matt's doing this remotely as well. Are you in your home?
I am. I'm at home.
Yeah, we're going to, hopefully go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Seton Hall is all closed up, so we're all at home.
Well, yeah, let's deal with that right out of the box. Let's assume for a second Seton Hall and other universities are closed for the rest of this semester. What does that mean in terms of learning and the broader, bigger picture for higher ed?
Well, I think it's interesting that for example, all of my classes this semester are already online. So this semester, I'm sort of ahead of the game. But then we have professors who have never taught online, who've never had to do that. We're moving all of our classes as much as we can to an online environment. And so at least in the beginning, that means it's going to be a little uneven. People are going to learn as they go. But what I hear from my colleagues, not just at Seton Hall, but all over the place, is that people are really just sort of figuring it out. And that's essentially what we're doing, is we're trying to figure out the best way to deliver an education, the best way to deliver the content, the best way to have conversations, and the best way to try and, take it one step at a time.
Matt's absolutely right. And again, check out daily news sources, online sources, broadcast partners in public broadcasting where we are. Check those folks and the national folks for the day-to-day information. We're trying to look at the longer-term implications of this really challenging situation on so many levels. Matt, let me ask you this. We don't know where things are going. We hope that the social distancing and the other things we're doing make sense. We don't know what public policies are going to change in the state of New Jersey in terms of how restrictive they're going to be going forward. But let me ask you this. Is it appropriate to talk about the long-term implications, longer-term implications as to what could matter in the fall as it relates to what people care about in the upcoming election? Or it will only be, how did you handle the coronavirus? Or how would you handle the coronavirus? Is that it?
Well, I think that there's two ways of looking at it. This is an unprecedented situation. So it will be the number one issue in any election through the rest of this year. There's no doubt about that. How our government responded will be a fundamental part of any election. Whether it is the only part, whether it is the only thing that we end up talking about, really does depend on how things play out over the next several months. And if coronavirus, as some people say, may go away over the summer and then come back in fall, that's a whole different set of situations. So I don't know that we know enough, but I think that there's no doubt that this will be the number one issue. It's just the question of whether it will be the only issue.
We're speaking with Dr. Matt Hale, political scientist at Seton Hall University. We've consulted with him many times before. He's a national expert on politics as well as state and regional politics. Let me ask you this, Matt. What have we learned about government, state government, local government, and the federal government and their appropriate and inappropriate responsibilities in a public health crisis?
So I think there's a couple things. I think that one of the things that we've learned is that there are leaders in every level of government who step up and decide and make decisions and figure out how to get things done. I'll take you take a look at New Jersey specifically. Phil Murphy has been a very steady hand, I think, at what New Jersey is doing. He's got a regular process in place that he has been taking very measured, very step-by-step, sort of methodical. He's sort of organized regional aspects, and that's at the state level, right? You've seen at local levels, you've seen that, there are mayors who are down in Atlantic City who are making very specific calls about what they're going to do in terms of social distancing, other places as well. At the federal government, I think that you're looking at a learning curve, and you're looking at very early on. It was clear that the federal government, and particularly Donald Trump, didn't think this was a big deal. I think that's changing to some extent. I hope that's changing to some extent.
Excuse me for interrupting, Matt. I remind folks, we are taping on the 20th of March. Things are evolving every day. We're learning every day. Here's the larger question about the federal government. For those who ask the bigger picture question that people will write books on, papers on, studies about, should the federal government, through the White House and the associated federal agencies, they have been prepared for this? I know some people are going to ask, why is Adubato even asking about that? Let's just get through the crisis. But the truth is, to some extent, the crisis may have played out differently if they were more prepared. But I don't even know if that's possible or that was possible.
So when we're talking about the long-term implications of this, history is not written as it's happening. History is written as you reflect over it, right? And so I think there's going to be a lot of reflection, and there's going to be, if we're talking about the future, there's going to be campaign ads, no matter how this turns out, of Donald Trump saying this wasn't a big deal.
Campaign ads politicize this, Matt?
I guarantee you there will be. I'm sure that there will be that saying this is, but at the same time, there will be campaign ads saying, look what we did. We took care of this, right? So there will be politics around the coronavirus on both sides of the issue. That's just going to happen. But I think that that's in the long term. In the short and the medium term, I do believe that people are starting and maybe not soon enough to sort of say, these are the steps that we need to make. And we'll figure out later on whether missteps were made at the bottom. But again, history is not written as it's happened. History is written after it's done.
One more quick follow-up. We're on with Matt Hale, professor of political science and public administration, public affairs, over at Seton Hall University. Let me try this. I'm finishing an online course as we actually teach right now. I should disclose that. Let me ask you this, Matt. The role of citizens themselves, and as part of a community, outside of what government tells them they can and can't do, what government does or does not do. What are we learning as we speak on the 20th of March about the citizenry, us as a people?
I think we're learning two things. We're learning a lot of things, but I think we're certainly learning that we take care of each other. When you look at what's happening in the local level, go to Facebook and look at how many people are offering to pick up groceries for inbound seniors, right? How many people are offering rides to a medical professional if needed. So we are stepping up as a people, and I think that's something that is pretty inspiring in many respects. You're also seeing that people are scared, and that fear is causing, when you get to the grocery store, people fighting over that last piece of chicken, right? And things like that. And so you're getting the good and the bad. But I genuinely think that as citizens, we're all in a position where we're figuring out how to take care of those people that are most close to us, how to have some sort of a semblance of normalcy with our close friends and family. And that really is, one of the strengths of this country, I think, is that we do take care of each other.
Dr. Matt Hale, I hear your children in the background, and like all of us, we're just trying to figure out how to not just take care of ourselves, but way more importantly, our loved ones and our neighbors in the community. And we wish you and the Seton Hall community that you are safe, whether it's online or not. And we thank you for joining us on this special March 20th edition of State of Affairs, which I am confident and hopeful will be relevant and significant when people view it. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Steve, for keeping to do this.
You got it. I'm Steve Adubato. This is State of Affairs, and we'll be right back.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Gibbons PC, Operating Engineers, Local 825, Hackensack Meridian Health, Summit City MD, New Jersey Board of Public Utilities, Clean Energy Program, New Jersey Sharing Network, NJM Insurance Group, IBEW Local 102, PNC, Grow Up Great, and by these public-spirited organizations, individuals, and associations committed to informing New Jersey citizens about the important issues facing the Garden State, and by Employers Association of New Jersey. Promotional support provided by NJ Biz and by NJ.com,